I think the United States has a lot to learn from Asians. Think of how everything's clean in Japan. You don't see any homeless sleeping defecating in the street either.
Hi, Charlie. My name is Yang Li. I'm an investor from New York. Thank you so much for this great platform to learn from you and sharing your wisdom. Uh, my question is about your outlook for global market and economy, especially given the slowdown in global economy driven by Chinese economy and also the rise in geopolitical risk. So what's your take on market and economy going forward? Thank you.
Well, I am mildly optimistic about China for a variety of reasons. Nobody has ever taken a big nation ahead as fast as China has come ahead, and I think they've done a lot right. So I'm a big admirer of what's happened there. If you stop to think about it, they were in a Malthusian trap, and they prevented 500,000 babies from being born. And they did it by methods that we wouldn't like in the United States. But I think they were doing the world a favor, and I think that what they did was admirable. So basically, I don't have this hostility toward China. I really admire what the Chinese people have achieved, and I think, considering that they started as communists, their leaders are pretty good. And it's amazing. Imagine a communist country creating this enormous period of growth and prosperity and lifting 800 million people out of poverty. And so I like what's happening in China, and I think the United States ought to get along with China, and China ought to get along with the United States. And regarding the global situation, it's so peculiar to have negative interest rates. And one other thing I greatly admire is, and this will strike you as very peculiar, there's one modern nation which has had like 25 years of stasis. How can anybody admire 25 years of stasis? Well, I think the Japanese have handled 25 years of stasis with magnificent skill and philosophy. Japan is not going to hell. They don't like 25 years of stasis, but they take it like men, and they aren't bitching and wailing, and they don't act like victims. And so I really admire the way the Japanese have handled their adversity. And I don't think the adversity came from a lot of mistakes. I think the adversity to Japan, they were an export powerhouse, and up came China and Korea. Of course, they had some troubles. We'd all have troubles if we had way tougher competition. And so I think that's I don't think Japan's stasis was Japan's fault. I think it just happened. And I think they bear up in it magnificently well and are to be greatly admired. And of course, they got into this defect free manufacturing ethos in a big way and led the world in it. So I think the United States has a lot to learn from Asians. Think of how everything's clean in Japan. You don't see any homeless sleeping defecating in the street either. Oh, I think there's a lot to be said for Japan.